Hey, I'm your host, Wes.
And I'm your host, Scott.
Come on in and grab a seat.
Because you're hanging with us at the Barbershop. Get it?
No.
I don't have any energy to hit anything.
Oh
right
man,
now.
that's for like later. We'll cut that out and use it as a promo. This is the problem now. It's like, oh man, we know we're recording, and there's no lead in, there's no fun, there's no like impromptu conversations with anything inappropriately.
There could be.
said.
See, there could be. We could totally have a conversation across the table and not even just pretend their cameras aren't even there.
Right. Wow.
And then just
I can do that. Hey, and welcome back to the Barbershop.
That's right. The show where we don't talk about hair.
Yeah. But yeah, we're running behind our recording schedule as always.
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say at this point that there is no recording schedule.
Oh man, we were doing so well though. I feel like right, other than the lockdown,
we were ambitious. We got what, four or five in before we ever published a thing.
Yep.
And then we just kind of.
Then we took a break when we locked down.
Oh, we did, yeah.
And then we were pretty consistent, like every other week.
I think so.
And this is the first week I think we've missed that mark.
Missed one, yeah.
But here we are recording on the week that it should be issued, so it'll just.
I think part of the issue, I don't even want to call it an issue because there are worse issues to have, is our family of shows just keeps growing.
Right.
So I mean,
you're busy.
Yeah. So for me, like every time I turn around, it's Friday, and then I'm doing notes out my butt.
Can't record anything else on Fridays or Saturdays because you're doing notes. Then you record on Saturday.
Yeah.
You need Sunday to recharge.
Yeah.
And a day, right? And a day to spend with the wife, or two, or a week.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like I can't see that I will ever. I can't see that I'm ever going to go back to full-time hours in the store.
Why would you bother?
I can't. I mean, I made that decision kind of late last year. We kind of kicked around our hours and stuff. Like the first year I was in the shop 7 days a week.
Yep.
And
it was keeping you busy.
It was what I needed to be.
I remember
the
day you told me going to work is making me miss things I want to do with Kim and myself.
Yep.
And it's like, so all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's like a real job. And it was a place. No, I don't want to say it was a placeholder because I don't want to.
No,
I don't want to ever downgrade
it's
that.
Not, it doesn't diminish anything.
No, but
not at all.
Yeah. But right when you were looking to keep busy or have your mind on different things when you really opened up and you threw yourself at it like 110%.
I did.
And it served a purpose and you kept yourself busy. You grew a nice business. And then as the pandemic hits, it gives you that break.
Sure. But I had already been in that position where like I started to adjust things. It was like, year one rolls around and it's full steam ahead. Year two, we're still kind of rocking it pretty hard because by now we've sort of established a bit of a pace, right? So now I know that, okay, at the beginning of the year, for between January and December, I can count on doing
X
shows. Number of shows.
Yeah.
So there was always show planning and preparation in between. And then it's, like you say, the pandemic did hit. And so like the show circuit, that was like all stopped.
Gone.
But I had already come to the conclusion that's like the business that I do out of the shop, because we live in a seasonal recreation or retirement community, in terms of receipts, I can do as much, in 4 days as I could in seven. So why be here 7?
And poor Grilled Cheese Hideaway, if they can stay in business and they're never open when I want a grilled cheese, they're doing okay. You'll do okay.
Shout out to the Grilled Cheese Hideaway. I had soup and sandwich yesterday.
You're a fucker.
I did. In fact, I had one for me and one for Kim.
Was it good?
Fantastic.
I enjoy them so much. They do great. It just does not meet with my scheduling and my time. It's like,
man, you need someone to get it for you
and bring it to me.
Yeah.
Oh, I know a guy that likes to drive to Peterborough every once in a while.
I mean, we're there enough time.
I got a microwave. I'll heat it up.
Yeah. So yesterday was
Wes, give me a sandwich.
Kim and I both have a sandwich. Each have our favorites, so we each kind of got our favorite sandwich, and then it's tomato soup every day, and then whatever else the guys are making. So yesterday there was a cauliflower leek and parmesan
Soup.
So, yeah. So I had a bowl of that. Oh no.
But right, you know me. I don't. I'm not a soup guy.
That's true. So
yeah. What about this type of soup? Boom.
Yeah.
What about this type of soup? Boom.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, back to the business thing. If I can do as much in 4 days as I can do in 7, then I'm going to be here 4 days, and I typically wrap it around a weekend, so Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah.
But even that, now that I can be open, I really haven't been, and I feel no shame, because if you want to come in, there's plenty of contact information for me on the door, and
reach out.
More than happy to make appointments for people to come in and browse at their leisure.
To me, I don't know if you're the spontaneous destination, like, right? Oh, and we're here. We'll go to. I don't know. I think everybody. Hey, we want to look at board games. Let's call Wes and we'll make an appointment.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to go look at, action figures or some kind of collectible.
Certainly for people that live here full time.
And it's all on unless it's Friday night and you're like, man, we need a new game.
Yeah.
I mean, right? If somebody called you at 6:00 and be like, hey, we really want a game for tonight. Can we come down and pick it up tonight at like 7? You'd be like, yeah, sure. I'm still sober.
That's kind of the way. Yeah.
I can get there with a set of keys.
That's true.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So there is a flip side to all of this, and it kind of brings us to where we're going, I think, with tonight's focus of the conversation, is that I've had over the last 2 years, really more so in the last year, have we really pushed at it. I've had more time to do work around the house.
Yeah. Inside?
A little bit. Some inside. We did a shop renovation for Kim,
right?
Which is still not finished, but it's getting there.
And then outside.
This has been the year of outdoor stuff,
yard work.
To some degree, yes, because there was the dismantling of the steel shed, which really wasn't a whole lot of dismantling. We just put it up on the marketplace, as a come and get it, and. After after something like at one point I basically had to tell Kim to just just stop. Market is pending, or it's never going to stop, because I mean there was probably in excess of 70 or 80
people love free shit.
They sure do. And I mean, where else when a 10 by 14 shed comes up for free?
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because we've been talking. So you've been doing, and Michelle and I have been talking
about
yeah.
Yeah, but every plan has to start somewhere,
right? And I got a hot tub that's not 100%. Don't nearly used it like the first year we got it. It was used when we got it.
You got it, yeah.
I don't like the thermostat on it, so it either runs cold or it runs too hot. And we never built a step into it, so it's a big up and over to get into it.
Climbing in.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to smash it and cut it and take it to the dump. And Kim had mentioned, she's like,
put it up for free.
Put it up for free. Somebody that just kind of tell them what's not right with it, and somebody will come and take it and they'll fiddle with it. And I'm like, really? And she's like, oh yeah.
I mean, I wish I had the photo up so people could see. Was the night that I drove down to I don't know that place. It's between Peterborough and Lindsay. It's where the phone company is. I can't remember the name of the damn place. Millbrook. I drove down to Millbrook for a free hot tub that barely. Let me just say it flexed the springs of the truck, bringing it back, and it was not an easy job to do. And then we just same thing. It didn't have it was a working element was gone, and it needed to have some work done. And we just never got around doing it, and it just took up so much room on the lower deck that finally it was like, just get rid of it. And we put it up, and it was gone within the hour.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So I just got to basically call my electrician and get the power cut off to it.
Right.
And 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 there's orange marker paint at the house now.
Orange marker tape.
Paint.
Paint.
Yeah. And so then I guess that means she's gonna pace it out and step on, and she wants to build like a pergola style, 2-walled
cool
gazebo.
Yeah.
And good old Marketplace, some kind lady was getting rid of 4 skids of older style interlocking brick. And you came and helped one day, so you can attest to how much 4 skids of interlocking brick is.
Well, hundreds and hundreds of pounds. Yeah,
it's crazy.
I can remember there was a stack of bricks in our drive, well, just off the driveway when I moved in with Kim, and for years it was, what are you doing with the brick? And she's like, oh, I don't know. Well, she wanted to do a patio thing with it.
Yeah.
Never got around to doing. We finally gave them away, and I'm telling you, what we gave away was maybe 1/4 of what you just took.
There's lots. I think I've got more than enough to do what she wants, and I got a few ideas that I want to do. So yeah, it should work out well. But yeah, we moved a ton of brick. There's still a little of a pile in the driveway that needs some restacking, and we'll get it done. And then I'll spray paint the grass orange and decide whether we're
get your layout established.
Yeah, and then I think it comes down to leveling. And I talked to my one buddy, and he's like, "Oh, it's easier to level up." And I'm like, "But I think my yard's high, so I almost want to take it down." But
you've got a slope in 2 directions, though. You mean sloping back away from the house and then towards your neighbor.
Kinda, yeah.
Which to me is ideal, considering you're at the bottom of a hill. You want as much
drainage
slope as you can get.
Oh, we got lots of water running through our property. So
I do remember. I remember that. Can you go over to the house and check the sump?
Makes me nervous. I had Georgia check it today because it rained pretty hard. I'm just always nervous because, the sump pump's been great, but heaven forbid it doesn't run.
But you have a backup.
I do have a backup.
You 2 of them.
I know, but still, it makes me nervous. But yeah. So before we go into projects of what we are doing currently, or what you're doing,
are doing, maybe
doing.
Yeah.
So growing up,
yeah,
as a teenager or as an adolescent, was that on your chore list or to-do list? Did you cut the grass?
Yes and no. It was on my list when I was told go cut the grass.
Right.
But see, my parents, my mother of all people, she just loved mowing the lawn, but she had a really, really old, my God, I guess my dad bought it. It was old when my dad bought it. A wheel horse lawn tractor.
Oh, so rider.
Hydrostatic.
Nice.
The only pedal on it is the clutch pedal to put it back into neutral, but Ford pushed the tiller bar backwards, pull the tiller bar backwards. Like ancient.
Right.
Yeah,
but I mean, that I think that has a lot to do with that. So that was on my list. That was
I never got my lawn cut this week.
Me neither.
The rain has,
and I didn't do it last week, and guess what it looks like now?
Well, mine was brown right up until the rains came, and now it's as green as our background.
Yeah. And, I got a beautiful wildflower assortment in my front yard. I got some little yellow thing, and I got some Queen Anne's lace, and I got something else. And I'll just set the lawnmower to low and just
scalp it.
Yeah.
I used to be a scalper because I hate cutting the lawn.
Yeah.
And then I realized
better
it really does. It really, really.
And then the grass grows in a little thicker, and the weeds don't go back as much. There's all kinds of theories. I've been watching a guy on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he's got a special leveler, and he's putting sand on it, and then he puts dirt on it, and then he
that's way
seeds
too
it.
Extreme for me.
And I'm like, you know what? I'd like to have greener grass or a fuller grass. Sure. And it's just like
fuller for me, not necessarily greener.
Yeah. And I'm like, he's spending days at this. And I'm like, no one even uses his front yard.
This year I've taken to because like they say, like you should never cut more than 1/3 of the length of your grass in one pass.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's a relatively new mower. It was new last year, so I didn't sharpen the blade this spring. So you know, after using it for a season, it's maybe a little dull, and you know, you don't get everything on the first pass. And so rather than wait and do it again the next day after everything has stood back up, so what I've done this year, and
Twice?
yeah,
Like the back to back?
yeah,
You're crazy.
that's what I said. So what I've taken to doing now, which has worked out really well, is I mow the lawn in one direction.
Yep.
And then as soon as I'm done, I mow it again in the opposite direction. And it's very nicely manicured and evenly manicured.
I don't know.
You got kids, man. Why are you mowing the lawn?
I got kids with 10 fingers and 10 toes. I don't think I trust them to cut the grass. I am that guy. I feel like, right? Or Ethan will do it and it won't be how I want it. And it'll be like, man, don't you know how to cut the grass? And I'm creating the same issue. Like, right? My dad would never let me touch the chainsaw.
Yeah.
We had a tree fall down. We had a chainsaw. I wasn't allowed to cut it up because my mother thought I'd cut my arm off.
Fair enough.
So then I didn't know how to use a chainsaw until I joined the fire department.
You want a chainsaw story?
Yes.
You want the chainsaw story that makes me the poster child for bad safety?
I could probably touch base with that too, but yeah, go ahead.
In 2006, here in Ontario, we had a series of tornadoes that all touched down on the same day.
Right.
I just happened to be at a friend's cottage in Apsley where one of them touched down, and the cottage is on one of the lakes up there. And so you can imagine that these very mature trees, like, I don't know how one missed my car by a few feet, like no damage to the car, but it was on the day before I needed to report back to Petawawa to deploy. So it's like I'm on my pre-deployment leave. That's the last day of leave, and I need to be somewhere important the very next day. And I can't get out of the driveway,
right,
because of these trees. And it's like, well, go talk to the neighbors, see what they got, find this old chainsaw, and I'm talking like
Poolin Pro.
I don't even know if it was that.
Maybe a little even older.
Well, it had like a button primer,
Yeah.
not like a bulb, button,
right?
like an old-fashioned oil can primer. We got this thing to go to fire, and there I am sawing down logs in flip-flops.
But right,
what do you do?
Shit needed to be done. So
yeah.
Sort of like, as you say, in the Army, you talked about before, like you had to be certified for every vehicle you're
that's right. Yeah.
So when I joined the fire department, there was a cutter skidder course, so you had to be certified reasonable on the chainsaw. So to be certified, we went to somebody's acreage and we cut his firewood. But we cut a lot of trees and it was good. And yeah, he had his firewood kind of fell
on the auspice of its training.
Yeah. So I was in a new hire,
sure.
No old bunker gear. So I had brand new bunker gear.
Nice.
And when I was said and done, I had put about 7 nicks in those pants.
From catching it with the bar.
And right. And his saw, it had it's the same thing. So no hand on it. And the saw just idled enough that the blade was still kind of moving around, right?
The one that I used was so old it didn't even have a brake.
Right.
No brake.
So yeah, and I just kind of laugh and I'm like, oh, I have no spatial awareness of where that blade is and where my leg is, and I'm like, shit. So it's like, right, and again, this comes down to me having a healthy fear of heavy equipment.
Fingers,
yeah. And right, same thing. So I was never that guy that we didn't run a whole lot of stuff.
Sure.
And so by default, my kids have lacked that ability or that training. And right, my lawnmower is getting a little bit older, so it's a little finicky in how it starts.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I'll just do it myself.
You got to give it the 1-2 rub and the.
And I'm so much of it. It's like, oh, I'll just do it myself. Because you only can ask your kids so many times,
and then you just their reliability, and
it's like, right, I have 2 dogs, and you have 2 dogs, generate a certain volume of dog poop.
They do.
But it's like, man, has anyone picked it up since the last time I picked it up? Probably not. And it's like, I don't know.
We are far better at that in the summertime. I tell you.
It's a necessity, right?
In the
Especially if you
wintertime,
want
it's
to use the
just
space. And this is so back to being the front yard versus the backyard.
Yeah.
So I had really taken the opportunity. I actually got a tiller, gave up on a section, tilled it right back to soil, added a whole bunch of peat moss to
Recently?
it. Last tail end of the summer.
Oh, last year. Okay, yeah.
And put in topsoil, put in peat moss. I don't know how many hundreds of dollars of grass seed I
what
threw
you
on.
spent on. Yeah, I know that feeling.
And it all took.
Oh, that's good.
It took really well. And it looked good in the fall.
Yes.
And then the snow fell.
Yep.
And the dogs just, I mean, it's funny because
do their thing.
Yeah. And it's
as dogs will do.
Yeah. And come spring and it melted and I'm right back down.
You got nothing.
No. And it's a high wear spot. So this is coming to my conclusion that maybe I would be good with a 20 by 20
something that needs less
gazebo.
Sure, why not?
Of brick that I'm not gonna have to cut.
I don't see why not.
But and then my front yard, I try and I've had.
Did you roll the grass seed?
Like roll it in?
So yeah, because they say like you should hit it with a roller, like a weighted roller.
Right.
And I've done roller before, but like this place,
I raked the dirt over top of it after I put it down.
I shouldn't complain too much because I have that strip in the front down the driveway where cars tend to get parked in the wintertime.
It's funny too because it looked really good at the start and now the weeds have grown into it.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
It's even more now with all the rain we've had in the last
2
days.
Very green.
It's very lush now.
It's very green.
But it's one of those things where you should really, if you're going to seed, you should seed twice a year and avoid walking.
I got a buddy that says seedings
stuff
for chumps and you just go ahead and do
sod.
That
is an option too, although I think it, depending on the area that you're doing, if your budget allows for it. We did some sod this year too.
You did.
We did I don't know, maybe 10 square feet.
Looks good.
Yeah, 20, except for where we ran back and forth with the cement, which has got a nice little yellow patch. But everything else around that is I noticed that all the blades are now they're fully upright. So
have you tried to lift it? Or
I have not. No.
So
pulled a couple weeds out of it.
Right.
So I feel like that's doing okay.
So you did when you cut the grass. Did you enjoy it as a kid or no?
Oh, so yeah. I mean, not really. To me, it was kind of a chore. And I mean, at that age, there's other things I'd rather be doing.
Right. We had a big yard, and we had 2 crabapple trees.
Yeah.
And my mom was a firm believer.
Don't mow over the apples.
You got her.
Pick them up.
Yep.
And did she use them for anything?
No, they were crab apples. They're very seldom do we ever get a good batch. We never sprayed them. We never trimmed the trees.
Yeah.
We had crab apple wars though.
I was gonna say because I know what I did with them when I was a kid, and we used to throw them at cows.
Man, we had epic backyard wars with those crab.
Well, there was a spot over by where Jeff used to live.
Yep.
That big hill that we all used to toboggan on, and right next to that, in that little wooded area, was hordes of crabapple trees, and you could literally just walk through there on any given day and come out with bucket loads of them. Yeah.
But it's super interesting. So cutting the grass meant you had to pick the apples. So it was twofold. And we had a big in-town lot. It was deep. So I mean, and then we had a hedge. So there was lots of mosquitoes by the hedge.
Right.
And and push no rider, push the whole thing. So it was not my favorite task.
I don't mind it now. I tend to do a lot of stuff in the summertime with a headset on and just kind of put some music on.
There you go.
I'm really tuned out to what, except for when I'm close to the road and stuff, because it's just like kind of head on a swivel. But when I'm mowing the lawn with my headset on, I feel a whole lot more kind of like it's
so different now.
Yeah,
right?
big time.
You can actually kind of enjoy it. And back in the day, I guess you could put your Walkman in and stuff, and away you go. But
sure, with my newest cassette tape.
Yeah.
No.
You do any other kind of yard work around your parents' house or no? There was no like no gardening, no.
There was, so my mother every year would, so it reminds me of Kim too, because Kim this year went all out with the amount of flowers that she bought this
Man,
year.
you got more flowers sitting than you have.
There's a plan for those.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but of course, it all hinged on.
Yeah.
So this is the thing with the yard work is, and I'm a big fan. I've had this out with Kim where it's like, I know that you are about instant gratification. You want it, you have an idea and you want it done now. So, projects 1, 2, and 3 will not be completed by the time 4, 5, 6, and maybe 7 have started.
And then there's multiple steps in those first 4.
Right. And so this year I've been it's jokey, but it's like that serious undertones where it's like, no, one thing at a time. You can plan for all that stuff, but it's one thing.
You had to buy the flowers, because if you hadn't bought the flowers, you weren't going to get them.
So now we have all these flowers, all these hanging baskets, because she wants to do new barrels with a post in them, because last year's barrels did not survive. So lesson learned, we're going to do it a different way this year. So the flowers are sitting there for that. I actually have the 4x4 posts for the new barrels. Have the new barrels. Couldn't do anything with them because the 4x4 post got used as as a resting area for the shed kit that we bought back in
Okay, so now that this
March,
April, so this leans in. The tin shed is gone.
That's right. Yeah.
Hilariousness ensued when they came and picked it up.
Again, Kim took some video from our bedroom window because she just kind of wanted to see how they were going to do it. And as we've said before, there's a vacant lot beside us, and they thought that they could just take it out through the vacant lot, which is what they did. But it is so, over hill, over dale. It isn't now, because the guy that did our gravel just knocked the top off with the backhoe. But these guys walked the shed out by hand with some timbers underneath of it. And I watching this video, and you could see the one guy face first.
It's always funny to laugh at somebody else's
somebody else's misfortune.
Yeah. I'd be like, no, that wasn't me.
I just hope he didn't get hurt.
Oh, I'm sure he's fine.
They get the thing on the trailer, and then the driver, and I'm not sure who it was, got kind of got uppity with his crew, and I don't know if one of them was his kid, but they ended up sawing the ends of the
carrying sticks,
what they were using to lift with. They cut the ends off so that the trailer.
I hope they didn't have a long way to.
Well, this is it.
The other end of it, they were going
out to somewhere.
Yep.
Nogies Creek.
Yep. To the hunting camp.
Yeah.
And another shed at the hunting camp, that shed probably would have worked great for that. But I mean, if you couldn't back up right where that shed was getting dropped, and now you cut off the 1.5 foot handhold.
Now you got to get off the trailer.
Yeah. That sounds like a me thing.
To be a fly on the wall at that end of it.
Oh, right. Jimmy, I told you not to do that.
Yeah.
Don't you listen.
So I said the priority this year, I think I've said it before on some of the other shows, the priority this year was either a fence or a shed.
Right.
We elected shed.
And there was definitely an uptick in by the way, I'm so glad that we bought that plywood last year.
Oh yeah.
For the stairwell.
Yeah.
Because that would have been $1,000 worth of plywood.
Our fence this year, we priced it out to do what we wanted to do, to make a really nice fence, was going to be somewhere in the realm of $3,000.
Which is funny. I think when we built our house, our deck and our fence was $5,000.
Okay.
So I mean, maybe I don't know, I can't remember, and it's like, oh, maybe that's not bad, maybe that's outrageous. I don't know.
I'm the same way. I don't have enough experience with buying lumber and with building stuff to really know. The biggest construction project in my life up until now has been our deck extension, the 14x16 that we use every year, and we quite like it.
Yeah.
But that's the extent of my construction
experience,
really.
So you found a shed. You were a long time finding a shed.
Found a shed online from Lowe's, which was a made in the US kind of.
It was a kit.
Shed kit, which was fine. It was cheaper for me to buy the shed kit than it was for me to go out and build something comparable buying the lumber individually. The problem is the only store between Toronto and Ottawa that had this thing in stock was in Kingston. So had to rent a trailer, drove to Kingston, got the shed, put on with a forklift.
You really wanted the shed.
Well, that was it too. Trailered it back. And then you guys had to come over because we had to take it out of the trailer. We had to
Piecemeal.
hand bomb it out of the trailer.
Yeah.
And placed it on Kim's timbers for her hanging baskets.
Right? You weren't ready. The foundation hadn't even been poured.
That's right. So the shed was sitting on the deck, tarped by the end of April.
Yep.
Yeah. So here, May, June. We're now in July as we're recording. Second week of July.
Sure.
Second week of July as we're recording this.
Yeah. I mean that's how.
And for the record, that shed is currently in my backyard. It has 4 walls and a roof. The sheeting, I might add, still has to be shingled, and the window has to be put in, and some trim pieces. But we got a building in our backyard.
You do, and you know what? We were there. We kind of helped.
Yeah,
a little bit. I don't know how much.
A lot of it. A lot of it.
Man, those directions were terrible.
As your wife says, they have to write this stuff for the dumbest person.
I guess I'm pretty dumb.
I feel
it's like I really thought the temporary beam that we put in was going to be temporary.
So we didn't drive the screws all the way in.
And then all of a sudden it's like, where's the directions to take that out? And they're like, there is no direction.
Any. No, they're staying in.
And I'm like, oh.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. So
by the way, I think you forgot to flip us.
What do you mean?
I think.
Am I still looking away from you? You know what I am. This is going to be interesting. Well, here we go. Let's just do this.
Woo! See, now
that's better. Now I feel a little bit more. That's what happens when I record at night and tired and.
Sure. I noticed like 2 seconds in. I'm like, I don't like this.
Yeah. But now that you say that, it's
all good. Yeah. So the shed went up. It was a whole day affair.
I think of all the things that we did outside this year, and it started, man, as soon as we had the nice weather, like the really, really nice weather, the first thing we did was let's do the deck furniture. And I said to Kim, I said, are you going to come out and help me? Because it's not hard work, but there's so much of it that by the time you do, like when you, and when I say the lawn or the deck furniture, I mean, like, we have a teak patio set that we got secondhand that, had fallen into not disrepair, but it had fallen into being not maintained, and kids used it for painting and arts and crafts. And so we bought it like super cheap. Like, I could not afford to go out and buy this furniture.
Well, you know what I thought was funny? When you refinished it, and there's the one piece that you weren't 100% sure about that it was missing a bolt or a nut or something.
It's the one chair that's kind of the loungy.
And then you looked at what a new one would cost, and you're like, I think I'm gonna fix it.
Yeah, get that chair out of that pile.
Yeah. Which is, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that. And it's you know what? You refinished it beautifully. It looks as good as it ever has.
Absolutely.
And and it's a nice set, and it's comfy to sit in.
Not including the one that is not the recliner that's still not done, but all the ones that we would use. So that's 6 chairs around the table plus a 7th. This and the table. This is the first year that all of the chairs and the table, they all got done.
Sanded them and then refinished them with
and
teak.
Oiled. Yeah. Oiled to the point where it looks like they've been varnished, so it's got a real nice marine shimmer shine.
Yeah.
Which will be gone by the end of the season because that's just the nature of oil, and you end up doing it again anyway. So that was the first thing for us. That was the big kicker, and it was like, okay, that's done. Feel good about that? Yeah, I feel good about that. What else do you want to do? Last year, we knew that the privacy fence on our deck was coming down.
Right.
And it was coming down either because I was taking it down or the wind was going to take it down and somebody was going to.
There was a nice, there's a ratchet strap giving it some stability, right?
Yeah. So in the event that it wasn't going to fall towards the neighbor's house.
Right. So that came down.
Well, in anticipation of that, keep in mind, before the lumber prices went up, we bought new posts with the idea that I was going to put those posts in the ground and rebuild that privacy fence. So those posts were sitting in our garage for over a year.
Right.
So that was kind of I guess that was kind of the next thing, really.
Right. So did the posts sit there for a year because you hate digging holes, or just time?
I think it was a combination of things. Certainly time played a factor. I wasn't 100% sure how to tackle the job to begin with, because it required a little bit of cutting. And
yeah. And I mean, it all turned out all right.
It did. I really wanted to think about, how am I going to do this, because I don't want it, because the deck is freestanding. Anything that I put on the deck, that's a concern, that it's a freestanding deck, and that could change the characteristic of how it supports the weight. And because it's already built on blocks, and we have that quite a significant slope there, I just you know what? Put some more thought into it.
Right, you buried them, and
we
so
did.
The same height as that, plus you've got the 2 feet in the ground and a little
2
bit
feet
underneath.
in the ground, and so the 3 fence posts are now lagged with a big through bolt.
Yep.
Right.
And you were saying the squeak is
gone.
Right.
Gone. So now I have a very solid foundation on that side of the deck.
And I'm just going to throw it out there. If you ever dig holes with Wes, don't let him tell you what hole to dig, because he'll give you the one with all the big rocks in it.
Listen,
holy smokes.
I laugh at that now.
And I mean, we live in Bob Cajun, but man, your holes were like nothing compared to mine.
This is it. I couldn't understand. I couldn't figure out why. I mean, let's be fair here. You and I probably pulled out roughly the same number of rocks, but yours were like exponentially bigger.
Yeah, they were like bigger than my head, and I got a big head. I'm like, you're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm getting rock out of the bottom. And I'm like, bleh.
They were large, and I laugh at it now because it's funny, but I'm like, where are you getting them all from? I'm standing 4 feet away.
I'm making them behind the corner, throwing them in, so you think I'm doing more work. Yeah,
I'm 5 feet away from you. I can't believe that the composition of the ground has changed that much.
Sometimes I wonder. I mean, are those actually like legit rocks in the ground, or is that like, hey, we built the house, we did the thing, and then we just sort of, when we put the fill in,
leftovers from the foundation.
Yeah, the shitty stuff got piled closest to the house.
That's entirely possible.
As we worked away, it got less.
That could be possible too.
Or right, you dig it out of the foundation and then you just drop it there. So by default, all the big stuff is close to the house.
Yeah, and then I mean the other issue, which that stump. It's dealt with.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has got that stump that keeps growing and won't stop, and you chop it down and you grind it. And then the next year, there's still 3 feet of greenery,
sprigs of whatever coming out of it.
So I mean, take whatever
new trunks.
Yeah, whatever wives' tales you want, whether it's soaking it in whatever, or buying the I think there's stump degenerator at the.
I don't know what there is.
There's all kinds of things. You sprinkle it on, or you drill holes and you load the holes. Or
my father-in-law was a big fan of, for the gardening, for weeding, was Dawn dish soap and vinegar.
Yep, that's still. I saw that the other day to kill grass.
And I'm like, how much of that would I have to mix up to put on a stump?
Yeah, because the soap makes it stick. The vinegar's bad, and then something else in that one. I saw that just the other day. Back in the day, I used to go, if you could find copper nails, and you drive the copper nails into it, and the copper's not good for it.
Is that something to do with the pH of the nail? Maybe.
I always heard that if you had like $1 million view and your neighbor had a tree on the property line that just ruined your view, you could just go and pop some copper nails into it, and eventually the tree would die and he'd have to deal with it because they're still on his property.
It's not like the days where you could just burn it out. Just burn everything out.
Yeah.
I think some people still do, depending on where they are.
Oh, bud, speaking of burning, have we talked about your
my new fire pit?
Yeah.
I
don't think we've talked about that on air.
No, I don't think we
have. More yard work.
Oh my Lord, that I can bring up a picture.
Yeah.
I can probably get a picture of that, to be honest with you, because I think that is not too far down my news feed.
But yeah, so you again saw a video. You wanted a new. You had a fire pit.
I really,
but a
really
freestanding.
Yeah.
And you wanted to kind of redo it. So of course you have done some YouTube research.
Yeah,
because there's a few guys that you follow that do like do it yourself stuff.
Yep.
And this one guy built a fire pit.
There's a Shed 2.0.
Looking good.
Yeah, so for those who are, that's yesterday morning, because we went to bed, like you guys came over the other night and we had just got the sheeting on.
Put the dumb door on.
Got the stupid door on. The ledger board, by the way, was only temporary. It was never meant to be there for long in the first place.
So did you put it back on to get rid of the gap?
I didn't, because the reason that the doors are bowed is because of the way they sat on the pile of lumber. So I think I'm going to put a piece on the backside of the door to straighten it out.
Right.
Plus, there's hardware that'll lag in that goes into the sill plate. Like there's a latch.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. I went to bed the other night and I thought, oh, it's going to be a nice day. I woke up and I could see the rain through the window and I'm like, oh. So I ran outside and
So do our good friends on the video, they can see that right now?
They can see that right now.
Oh, very cool.
So I went and launched a couple of tarps over it, popped the ladders up. Of course, all the tools were inside, including the drills and all the screws. So, and the tarps, by the way. So I had to take the brace off the door
to get in.
Yeah.
Because you're not climbing through that window.
No, exactly. So anyway, that I went and did that, and man, I was wet by the time I came in. But yeah, the fire pit, that was an interesting outing because we'd been talking about redoing the fire pit. Kim had this commercially made thing. It was this like a steel.
Yeah. The square kind of stood up off the ground. It was good. It did
totally.
It did its thing.
It totally was. And then I started watching these videos, and this video came up about this smokeless fire pit design, where essentially they were using a galvanized stock tank with no bottom in it, right? And what they were doing, the guy had taken basically a 2-inch or 1.5 hole, 2-inch hole saw and drilled holes around the top, put that down on the ground, and then around that he built a brick or paver
facade.
Yeah, so that basically creates this like aero chamber between the stock tank and the rock, that where the gases that are in there gets kind of superheated, and then the notion is that the air coming through the holes at the top creates a secondary burn and kind of
It's good science, because every high end wood stove has a second burn system in it, so you're getting a cleaner burn, and a more efficient burn. So I mean, it worked like that. Now we've had 2 fires.
Yeah. Now all the videos we watched, everybody did theirs. They were all round, and then part of the design is that it has to have this lip, and it's important that you have the lip so you're not losing the gas right out the top. So Kim saw this thing. She's like, why don't we do this steel fire insert? It's got a built-in lip. I'm like, okay, well, let's try that out. So we end up going with a oh my Lord, what's going on here? End up going with a square design, which I thought was
I like it. Looks good.
It does. It's very, very attractive. And I'll bring that up so we can have a look at that too. Yeah, this one. So there it is. There's our smokeless fire pit with the holes in the bottom, and that was kind of we had a bunch of gravel laying around from after the gravel got poured for the shed, so we raked a bunch of it up and we kind of cut out a space big enough for the fire pit, put down a base of gravel, had some bricks left. These are bricks left over from the where my barbecue sat,
right
where the sod got put down, so we'd have a nice little trimmed out area. You can see the crappy spot on the ground where the 4 pavers were for the old one. Yeah, and now we've had a couple of fire. See all the holes I drilled in the damn thing. 70 some holes later.
And you know what? I would tell you, sitting there, you can see the smoke
rolling back in,
but over the pavers. So it's there's just enough flow back out the brick
Yeah.
that it's pulling it over the top instead of pulling it through the holes.
Well, that's the first fire. Now look the size of that fire. Now that is, you can see the steel grate in there. We're using what, maybe 30-40% of that grate,
right?
So part of the issue is it's a 36-inch inside diameter, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not getting enough heat transfer from the fire out to the walls, you're not getting that secondary burn. So,
but as I say, we got on that night, we got a very good complete burn, not a lot of waste.
Yeah.
And I feel like it really wasn't smoky.
No,
either.
Not really. But it was a really still night too,
Yeah.
right? The second last week, our second fire.
Yeah.
A little bit of a different story because we went a little bigger.
Maybe.
A little bigger, a little wider.
Maybe. So right, where I work, we get deliveries on skids. And
skids make some good hardwood burning.
Yeah. I mean, whatever they've been treated with or spilt on or whatever, but we didn't roast any marshmallows, so I'm sure we didn't
lick the nails.
Yeah. And then anybody that gets skid delivery. So we had a box full of like pieces that had fallen off. So that went in the trunk, and then I think I threw 3 or 4 skids on top of that, and they all came over and we jigsawed them up.
By the time we had cut it all up, we had a very large wheelbarrow.
It was good times. It burnt for a good long.
It did.
Yeah.
It really did. But we had a much larger fire, and then come to find out that my steel insert is not. So here clearly it's rolled steel. But I actually thought, because it comes in
you thought it was all one piece,
because it's 4 pieces, right? I had to screw the 4 walls together. I thought each wall where that flange is, I actually thought that the rolled steel had been done on a bender. No, that's not the case at all. They've rolled it out flat, and then they've gone and they've tacked in on the bottom side. They've tacked in that flange, and if we didn't have 4 or 5 pings as it started to separate,
it got gappy. We burnt a little hotter the second night.
Did it ever? So the plan is to either take it to a welder or have a mobile guy come out and weld it on the backside so that it doesn't, or however it's got to be done, so that it is a solid ring, never to come apart again.
Right. Learned, right? Because I would never have told. What do I know?
You know what? If it never gets done, which is entirely possible, by the way, it's still a great looking fire pit, and it works. It works a million times better than the last one.
So and then you got your privacy wall.
We
put
did.
Back up.
We put
less
the
lumber than what you started with. How did that happen?
You buy this stuff and we're excited because we've got the deck built, and it's like, I joked about, do you want to, now you've seen the neighbors on the one side, right?
Yeah.
Now, granted, they've done a lot of work.
They've been busy, but they're lacking the motivation to clean up after themselves.
Right. And
whatever.
I mean, before they did any work on that house, you have to admit that it was a bit of an eyesore.
Yep. And they're coming along. They're slow.
They are.
And they're taking their time in the cleanup. Whatever.
Sure.
But again.
But the decision was, I'd made a joke and I said, we should just put up a privacy fence, and that way we don't have to look at it. And Kim was like, okay. Like, dead serious.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And me not knowing anything about construction, kind of went, how am I going to do this? So I got those like green metal post brackets, legged them into the deck, put up 3 posts and put a fence on it. And well, just like my fire ring, those green posts are just tack welded, so like spot welded.
Nobody does quality work anymore.
Seriously, like,
I don't want to blame that it's all from China.
Well, it's just,
but maybe it's not even from China. I think it just comes down to making it for the cheapest dollar
absolutely
that you can possibly get it, so they can sell that to you for $150.
Oh, big time.
And be like, oh, we totally screwed you over for $52 worth of steel and 5 tack welds.
Yeah. And I thought, oh man, I thought I had some photos of that too. Maybe I don't. Oh, there's the cement. That's another story. It was doing the cement and how that worked out. But apparently, nowhere in any of the videos that we watched when we poured the 8x12 cement pad did it. They say you need to vibrate the concrete.
You need to shake that
You need to
shit.
vibrate it. But apparently, had we have just poured it as a 4-inch thick pad,
It would have
been fine. But because we went with a 6-inch pad, that meant we had some holes and stuff.
Your whole Facebook feed is
My
yard
Lord,
work.
it is all
Wes.
my yard work. Look at this. This is my let's see, we got the let's see, here's a I got a before here so you can get a better idea. Here's the patio furniture. And this is like, this kind of gives you an idea of how rough it is, right? Because this
I love that arm. I love that arm.
Here's
I would have kept that. I would have sealed that underneath.
Well, here's the thing, right? And I'll tell you once I get this put up here, you'll see. So when I say like this stuff got used for the kids, it became her kids painting. You can see the paint right in it.
Yep.
You look down between the slats on the table and in the chairs, that's all still there because I am not sanding between.
Oh, could you imagine flossing in there? No, thank you.
So there, and there's one of the chairs, man, and that's probably the first year that we had them. I think that's.
So did you hit it with an orbital or like a plane
palm sander?
Yeah, did a good job. I think I must have.
I think so. I think it did all right.
Yeah. That's in your garage, right?
That is in the garage.
Did you ever find that bird yet?
No, and I haven't found a corpse either. So,
so the first night I think we're there, there's this like,
I know, and then it just wouldn't stop.
And there's a robin or something in your garage. Stupid thing flew in there and then didn't want to fly out.
No.
And then we're sitting at the table, and every once in a while, it was like.
Well, the worst part was being in the house, and of course, when you're in the bathroom, and of course, it's right on the other side of the garage, and all you can hear is this like robin.
Oh, could you hear it in the house through the shared wall?
Yes.
Oh my god! And then it stopped, and you're like, "Well, it either got away or died."
Well, this is the thing: we'd open up the garage door and then open up the back door to the deck. So I mean, you got two routes of
your poison and
stupid bird, and for 2 days, no, not a thing. Just kept hearing this.
You know what? Some people would say it would have been kinder to borrow a BB gun and just put it out of its misery.
Well, there is that.
But you know what? So we shop at Food Basics downtown on George.
Yep.
Occasionally, I see a bird, and it's
in the store.
Yeah, and it swoops down on the produce.
We've been to the No Frills up on Lansdowne and seen the same thing.
And I'm like, that fucking bird's picking at my apples. And I'm like, fucking shoot that thing. That's gross. And it's shitting and
yeah. There's a pretty good shot there. That's that is the aftermath of the sanding and the oiling of the tables and chairs. So very proud of that. It looks very, very nice.
It does.
You also, this is probably the best picture I have because I can't find any more.
That's the old wall or the new wall?
That's the old wall.
Right.
But and you can see the gapping in there is not very even, and the board, some of the discoloring.
The gapping's not. I didn't do a great
okay.
job.
So, but now,
man, no one cares what the gapping looks like. It looks much nicer now.
It does. So when we put this thing up,
you slap them right side by side.
We picked up the lumber from the Home Depot, and I'm telling, man, the fence boards were dripping. Right, but you're all excited and you're enthusiastic, and we're gonna get.
Who
this
lets
thing
it
up.
sit? Nobody. Nobody.
I sure as hell didn't.
Oh, that needs to fuck that.
So the next year, no surprise, snap. There's a corner busted off, and when I say corner, I mean like an 8-inch, 10-inch section has like snapped off because of the shrinkage. Right. I'm like, well, that sucks. And then it starts to get wobbly, and like you say, ratchet strap in the whole bit so prevent it from falling. Then we take it down. I start digging a hole. You came over the next day. We dug the other two, and we got the posts in. Go to put the whole thing back up, and I'm like, listen, we got all the we reused the boards, the fence boards, took them all off, took them out to the front of the garage where we did the tables and chairs, put up the 6-foot table.
Man, yeah.
And Kim and I hit them with, because we have two.
Palm sander.
We have two of them. We hit them with
they
sander.
Look good. I said, are those new boards? You're like, no, those are old boards with new stain.
Yeah, stain them up.
They look sexy.
Put them back up. Space them out this time without more than an eyeball.
With a pencil.
With a pencil.
Yeah.
So there's a pencil width between. And I kid you not, we have the exact same width of coverage, less two boards.
I love that. But like, how'd we do that?
So the broken one, and then the one that
Yeah.
had the most sort of like
warp.
Yeah,
Cool.
cut that one right out. So.
Yeah, the shit like that,
Very
or like
happy with
extra
that.
parts or whatever. You're like, man, where did these come from? I thought I had to use all this stuff.
See, that's that whole thing about when the manufacturer's instructions say read all the instructions first. I feel like that's how you come up with more parts at the end, because you didn't read everything first. You didn't have the once through the overview.
Show of hands who reads all the directions first. That's what I thought.
Yeah, even I'm guilty.
Please. No one wants to do that. I'm gonna read it and then go back and start at step one. Maybe the only thing you do, like, that's how you write a test.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I am done writing tests. If I got to be writing a test, I'll be failing that test. I'm not be like, oh, you got to read it all, and then you get to the last thing and it says, write your name down and answer question 1, and you're done.
That's stupid. Yeah. Because you didn't read all the instructions. Yeah.
Well, you proved me that I'm stupid. Good going.
So, a subject that we can both relate to, because we've both been by happenstance came onto this whole gazebo thing.
Oh, so different ways of building them. So there's this cool new product.
I want to get to that, because that's where I landed today. Actually we were at the Home Depot buying shingles for the shed, and guess what I walked right by?
Sure.
This system.
Yep. It caught my eyes months ago, and I liked them on Instagram, and then
Canadian company.
Yeah. And so now it shows up in my feed all the time, because of course I hit the like button. But it's cool. I'll say it wrong. Is it Toya
Grid.
Right.
Toya Grid. And we're going to bring them up here in a minute, because I think they get a pretty cool product. But so we've been in our house. Kim's been there forever, but I've been in the house with her for 8 years. In 8 years, we've had, including the current one, which is broken, 3 gazebos. Not like replace the canopy, replace the curtains, the stuff that you expect to.
Yeah.
I'm talking replace the whole damn thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as gazebos go, you're buying
tube steel.
Maybe if you're lucky, the corner brackets are 4x4, and then everything else is inch by inch, probably less.
Well, the first 2 that we had, they were tube steel round, most of them, right? The first one was nice. Like, don't get me wrong, it was a 10x12, so it was nice, and
the price
big,
was economical.
Sure was. Big vaulted ceiling in it.
Yep.
I had my patio heater chained to the top, which I should have known better, because the chain adds more weight, and then it ended up collapsing the frame, and I felt pretty foolish about that. So replace it the next year with another one, and then that one goes. And now that brings us to the one that we're on right now, which I thought, this is great. We actually got a really good deal, because it was an open box, and the associate on the floor got authorization to sell it to us for $100 less than the sale price. So we got this other one, which is a steel gazebo with the polycarbonate.
It's
panels.
got a cool roof.
The polycarbonate.
It's cool.
Polycarbonate panels, which the first year it was great. So here's the thing. We live in Canada, and in Canada, most of Canada has a full 4 seasons. And I thought with the polycarbonate panels in there, great, just leave them up. That's not the case.
No. So
you do. So wait, I should preface that and say, we probably could have gotten away with it if we'd taken the snow off.
Right. But
we did not. And so with
how many panels failed?
2. Now they haven't snapped in half, but
the joints failed and they collapsed.
Well, it actually ripped out an end piece of metal, like that would have been screwed in. It broke that metal piece out. Now it's usable, but that brings me to I'm tired of futzing with gazebos every 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess around with them anymore. I'm tired of the same thing. We bought that, and you were there last year. We bought that giant cantilever umbrella, and I swear that we did the right thing when we bought it. Was the first thing we did is we went out and we bought something like 8 or 9 cans of of UV spray,
Yes.
and we treated it. And this year I put it up, and you can't tell that
No fade, no bitter,
none.
no
No.
brittleness. So right here's our right. So we have a gazebo back on our deck.
Yeah.
Just put the table on there, get the sun, and we take it down. We take the cloth top roof off and pack it away
As you should. Good for you.
every year. Now we have a lot of pines on that side, so it gets a lot of dripping on it.
Yep.
But right, and I'm not taking that stuff off. I'm not gonna wash it off, but whatever. And slowly but surely, though, when you take it off and you put it back on, and you take it off and you put it back on, right, you're trying to stretch that fabric. The thread they're using isn't great, so over time, you can hear it popping. I'm like, oh, Michelle's not outside.
The stitching.
She won't know.
Yeah.
So, and basically the pieces that you kind of pull, it's a cloth pocket.
Yeah.
That goes over.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that's what holds it there, and then it's all kind of friction fit.
Yeah.
Well, this year 2 of the pockets failed.
Oh.
And the screening that's at the top is brittle, so that's supposed to keep that's your airflow out.
Yep.
And it's supposed to keep the bugs out. Well, it's got more holes in it than whatever, and I would think another season and it's not going to go. So now I'm at this debate of, hey, could I somehow sheet the roof,
the one that you have now, the existing one,
somehow sheet it and change it into a plywood top or whatever.
I said the same thing to Kim with ours. Replace those polycarbonate panels with plywood.
Or would the weight not work?
Well, and that's where I kind of have some trust issues
or could you ever find a replacement canvas? And they all say they have replacement canvases.
Sure.
Until you go look. Or you waited too long. Yours lasted too long. And now
that model's discontinued.
Yeah. And now it's 5 square inches bigger. So the new ones don't fit yours, or smaller, or whatever. So then you're like, right? Okay, well, tear it down, throw it in the recycling,
buy another one. That's I say with these commercially made gazebos, like the ones that we're talking about, the tube frame canvas ones, you almost have to, like, if you're going to take care of it, which you have, you're almost like, do I just go out and the year that I buy it, there it is on the shelf, there's the replacement canopy, you just buy another canopy when it's brand new. Yeah. Do you do that?
I don't know. I'm a firm believer that things, even new in box, still degrades.
Yeah, over time, for sure.
Yeah. So if you get 3 years or 4 years, and when you pull out your new one on year 1 and you only get 2 years out of it, you're like, oh, that's weird. But in my years of selling boots and the understanding of polyester, polycarbonates, it's all off gassing 24/7, deteriorating.
Yeah.
And these guys that get ahead of their boot allowance, and then they pull a pair of boots out that they bought 5 years ago, thinking, I got another, and the whole sole falls off like a piece of chalk.
Yeah.
And you try to explain to them
it continues
the
to
nuance
decline
of chemistry.
Yeah.
And right, again, I'm not a smart guy, but right, you're like, well, the rubber and the polyethylene has been off gassing for 5 years.
Yeah.
And you haven't wore them at all. It's probably worse that you haven't wore them
than if you just worn them right through.
Or I tell more
rotate your boots.
Yeah, leapfrog.
Yeah.
Wear them for 6 months, get into that one. And you're probably going to get more time out of the soles on all of them.
Basic training, 2 pairs of boots, better have a pair marked A and a pair marked B. On Monday, everybody better be wearing A. And on Tuesday, everybody better be wearing B.
Tells you that, eh?
They do.
See, smart people.
It's only ever enforced on basic training.
Right. But that's smart. Yeah. And I mean, right. Hopefully I have a couple of friends that, they've done different things, construction or mechanic. And they're like, oh, it's good to have 2 pairs of boots, because if you have a car like puke its entire load of oil on your other pair, they're not going to dry for days.
No, exactly. So you've got something else to go to.
And lo and behold, he was a firm believer that both pairs lasted longer.
Interesting. I think so, because I mean, you're getting the same, like if the boot, let's just say 3 years was the benchmark. If the boots lasted for 3 years and you're rotating them, you get 6 years worth of boots.
Work boots or army boots?
Army boots.
Okay, because work boots, you're being unrealistic.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of scenarios.
I'm just putting it out there. Your work boots, you might get 3 years.
Somebody who actually works.
Not to begrudge
Fair
your
enough.
style
No,
of work
no,
or
of
the
course
how
not.
hard you're working.
I don't care.
Here's a funny story. So I don't work hard, but when boots go on clearance, when they're not longer style numbers done or whatever,
Sure.
they get priced down, right? And sometimes you'll see a great deal come across.
Boy, I could use a pair of those.
In your size.
Yep.
So I bought a pair of tears, the first pair of full metal free.
Yep.
Got them for $9.88.
Sorry, $9.88. That's a steal.
And I'd go like to your house to help you, and I'd wear my work boots.
Right.
Pristine. Or I'd go help somebody pour some concrete and wear them and be like, they'd be nice. And they're like, oh, those are too nice to pour concrete in. I'm like, man, they're $10. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. $10.
So, right.
What?
So then oldest son starts working when he's 13 or 14, doing some landscaping. So I'm like, oh man, just wear my boots.
Right.
You know how long those boots lasted in real work?
Year. Months. Weeks.
And the sole snapped in two, fell apart. But this was the thing is like,
sure,
occasional use. And I mean, I had them for 4 years.
Yeah.
And they were pristine and they worked. As soon as you put a real day's worth of work in them, they're like, oh.
Right. So, Gazebos.
Did you show up? Did you?
I have not. I haven't brought it up yet. I'm going to though.
Yes, we were busy talking about Gazebos. So this is the solution.
So what?
So no fancy joints.
We've been
no dovetails, no nothing. This system,
the Toya system, it's all pre-cut. So like you don't need. There's no cut. It's zero cut. The only cutting you need to do is decide how tall you want the thing to be.
They sell the lumber too.
No,
I thought
you buy your own lumber.
Yes,
but the way that the joint system is made, they're all flat. So let's say you want to put in a corner brace, you buy the corner brace brackets, you cut the straight piece of lumber to fit in the brackets, and then you
poke it in, and then there's places to put your bolts or your legs.
So we came about this as we were buying the shingles for the shed, and then because I said to Kim, I said, I'm tired of futzing with these things. Why don't we put a pergola on the deck?
Right.
And she was like, I don't know. And then we got watching
more weight.
It is more weight. We got watching a bunch of videos, and then we kicked around the idea of, do we build a pergola that ties into the house? Because the exterior of our house below the bedroom window is brick.
Yep.
So we could lag into the brick.
Yep.
But then it's like, what do you want to put on top of it? And she laughs about her grandparents used to have like a 3-season room, which had the corrugated plastic or the, I guess,
go get tin,
polycarbonate,
go get galvanized, whatever you want.
Again, though, trying to save weight, right? So the polycarbonate panels, which are true polycarbonate panels, not the honeycomb like is on the Gazebo now.
Yeah.
So I actually sat down yesterday. I kid you not. There is a full set of plans that I drew up for a solid lumber Gazebo with polycarbonate panels, starting at 10 feet at the house, sloping to 8 feet.
So, and again, you're not you'd screw a ledger board on.
Well, this is it. So
that's what I would do.
At 10 feet tall, you would want to put a ledger in. But at that point, it's now I've got to cut through siding. That's not a West job. That's a contractor thing because I am not skilled enough to know how to cut the siding so that I'm going to hit the timbers of the house.
Have you not seen my house? I'm still missing siding on the back side of my house. When I took it off to do that job, and then it's like, how do I fucking put the siding back on?
Well, the stuff I read said you can cut it out, and then you can cut stuff off to fill it back in with J trim. And I'm like, I don't think that this
what?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, well, let's go back to the idea of freestanding.
Solidarity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what brought us to this stuff where with this what am I doing here? With the Toya system, you can actually, so this is just their homepage here, but let's go to the kits here. Let's go and you can see, like, look at that. You can lag right into an existing wall.
Yep.
And I thought, well, that takes a lot of weight off of the house. And then so now I can go same size. I can go like 10 feet by
So
12.
even with all those fabulous, I keep looking at those sales too.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, does that fix the problem, or is that just? And I mean, now the fabric's all probably UV.
Oh, it's totally UV rated and treated. And
but are you right back, or are you just better to put a roof on it?
well, I think that comes down to a stylistic choice. Like we sat out the other night in the rain after we stopped working on the shed, and we sat under the gazebo, and I had a beer, and Kim finished her
White Claw,
her White Claw, and it was raining,
black cherry,
but we were like,
you were dry. But if it was just a sun sail,
but here's the thing. I think that's the exception and not the rule, right? Because how much time do we spend outside in the rain to begin with? Because to get to our yard,
you got to run out.
There's no door to the outside off the back of the house. You've got to go outside, and at best case, you open the garage from inside the house, cut through the garage.
Right.
So I said to Kim, it's more the
see, our setup would be
I would put
with
the slider
right there, and the roof would go, and there'd be flashing, and you'd not have a leak there. And
you would probably do great with one of these on the wall and just run the whole length of your house, like the whole length of your deck,
right,
and then run it out. But this kit, which like I said, we saw all the parts in the Home Depot, so something like that for you, Scott, maybe like that, that size, with the red roof there, the long one. But I think this may in fact be the way that we're going to go.
Right.
Not lag to the house, just a single 4-post,
right,
10 by 12 with a sail.
Yeah, with a sail.
With a sail.
You should do the bottom one, and then you can weave the sail in and out.
I saw that
in white gauzy fabric.
Well, this is the thing.
It'll up your game like 100%, and you'll be like, let's go sit under the pergola and look at the stars.
Like I said to
Kim, be like, Wes, you're so romantic. And you're like, I know.
I said to her with this kit, though, it's like kind of best of both worlds, because like, let's say because she's like, well, you can't sit underneath that in the rain. I'm like, no, you can't, because it's perforated.
Yep.
I said, but that doesn't mean you can't throw polycarbonate sheeting up on top of that and screw it right into the timber, because you're buying your own timbers. And she's like, oh. I said, the only issue with that is now you have no slope, so you don't have the same drainage that you would if it was.
Yeah. But I mean, if you do it at like 2%, it's going to run.
Yeah. And I think for plumbing, it was something like 1.5 inches for every 5 feet or 10 feet or whatever. It's not very much.
No.
It was enough that when I in my design, I figured out that I could get away. It was going to be 84 inches at one end and 82 inches or something, or 81 inches at the other end.
Negligible.
Yeah, but then it just becomes like this monstrosity of a structure. And if I do it at a lumber, like 100% lumber with like stringers and purlins, then it's this like crazy amount of weight. And then I'm like, well, that kind of is offset by the concrete we just put in the holes with those new posts. It's very solid there.
Yeah.
But I honestly think that the next construction project, if there's going to be another one this year, may in fact be a pergola. May in fact. So, but we'll see.
I mean, you can get another year out of your gazebo.
That is something that was also talked about.
Do you
we
wait
get the
until
rest
it
of
fails?
this year.
Well, wait until it fails.
If I waited for that fence to fail, somebody would have got hurt.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
now here's the question: are you gonna go take those panels out this winter?
Fuck no.
So you'll have a few more fall. You'll be like,
shit.
oh, nope. And
At this
eventually
point,
you won't be able to put them back up.
I guarantee you.
And then it's pergola time.
I guarantee you that by the end of the weekend, I'm putting this out there. So I guarantee that by the end of the weekend, so before this episode actually airs, I guarantee that my wife and I will have a conversation with all finality that a decision will be made before the end of the weekend.
I'll take those odds.
All right. So watch for that update when Wes eats his shoe.
Just I mean, she'll be like, what do you think? And you'll be like, I don't know. As I say, the local hardware store has something like that. Or as I say, if you're trying to control cost, so they've got that overhang at the hardware store.
Is it just like a crank out awning?
No, it's steel up to the building.
Yeah.
So 4 feet, whatever. And they put they use it for storage and stuff. You drive by, you'll see it. And then where it runs, and then where they have their 4x4 down as the support,
Yep.
they're using more of a galvanized powdered, instead of like the 4x4 square, they're using like a T style joint. So then it comes, so goes down 6 inches, probably 2 legs,
Yeah.
comes up, T's both ways, 2 more legs to the left, to the right. And I imagine you're doing that maybe on the other side as well.
I'm sure that there was something. I'm sure in their, oh my Lord, in their actual, just their.
And I struggle with the cost because you know what?
Well, so
if
that's
you
the thing.
knew anyone that could do fabrication,
Could,
I'm sure that's shit cheap.
so you're talking like something like this,
but it's not. But it would not. You're not. It's not it's not a male female system.
No,
it's that.
Yeah,
but flat.
Oh, just flat stock. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Back in the day, they were all silver. There was L brackets, T brackets, but these are
all galvanized,
big black powdered.
Yep.
And not all the angles were there and things like that, but they do quite a bit of that there as well.
Sure.
I mean, that all looks super cool. It's all right. It's all been engineered. It's all rated. So I mean, versus going to the guy that does your mobile welder.
Well, there you go. Right. I mean, his cost, I mean, may not be that much, but his time and his skill.
Right.
That's where you're,
That's what I struggle is like, man, if you had like, right, to just go get the appropriate gauge metal, have a bender, weld it, a nice full weld. That stuff's not the return on cost.
Well, again, that
is ridiculous.
Again, that's all like the fire pit. That's all rolled steel.
Yeah.
That's been welded and then dipped in whatever the powder coating or whatever that coating is on top of it.
But I mean, right, it's been rated, it's engineered.
Yeah.
Because it's a building material. So it's not like it's just
slapped together.
Yeah. But
I don't know. Those green post brackets sure feel like it. They snapped. And not even at the
but
not only
you know
the
what?
weld
That's what's holding my back fence. We just put and that's what 6, 8. That's over 20 feet.
Yeah.
Now again, we're not a solid fence, we're in every other board. So more wind blows through so that it doesn't have that sail effect.
Right.
And that's been there 20 years. Now again, is the fence starting to finally get a bit of lean? Maybe.
I don't know.
But that's all we put in. Now, I don't think we used the green ones. I think we went and got big old scary galvanized ones.
Sure. So they're probably a little more robust.
Maybe. And that we'd leg them into the rock back there.
Well, that makes a huge difference because like anything that's on our deck is literally just screwed into the deck boards.
So
that's and that again, from everything else that I've looked at, that's another concern is like, if you're not lagged to the joist, which I'm not going to be able to put a 4x4 post. You won't get 4 screws into the edge of.
Can you go under and add structure?
I probably could, but do you remember what that looked like before there was a deck there?
No. I haven't known you since there was a deck there.
When we were digging those holes, I don't know if you happen to look underneath the deck at the house to see, like, there's inches there. There's not. You could never get underneath there to.
You couldn't. And I couldn't.
Wow.
Somebody could. Ethan could.
Maybe
get in there and leg that shit in.
Just get him to starve himself for a couple of days.
We'll scrub him down with
lube him up with some butter.
Vaseline, get in butter, and be like, woo! If you see anything else like phone chargers or forks under there, grab them while you're under there.
Yeah. You can keep the change.
Yeah.
What about you guys? You guys any summer construction projects or COVID construction projects that you've got on the go at your place? I'd love to hear your horror stories about lumber and building materials. Because
I'm sure everybody else is having a much better time than us.
Yeah. You think so?
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of handy people.
My father-in-law has said to me repeatedly, geez, Wes, you're pretty handy. And I keep saying to him, nope, no, I'm not. And he's like, oh, yes, you are.
Compared, that's the scary thing.
Compared to what?
Yeah, to him. To him.
But he's done like, he's done timber framing and he's done like other like jobs. He worked at Swedfern and made furniture. Like He's got to know his way around a tool.
Yeah, that was one step away from IKEA, though. It's Swedford.
Yeah.
But I mean, right, modular furniture. But right, I mean, he understands tools and
That's
stuff.
right. Yeah.
But yeah, isn't that always scary when you look at somebody else and they're like, yeah,
if somebody looks at me and says I'm handy, then I'm like,
what
does that say about you?
There's a world of trouble. Yeah, and that's, as I say, right. I just that's where I sit. I just need supervision.
Yeah.
And somebody to tell me when I'm doing something wrong. And then other than that, I feel fair.
Tell me
how to use the tool correctly.
Right.
And I think you have an appreciation for
Absolutely
this with the shed.
Absolutely do.
How to keep it fucking square.
Oh, man.
Just those little nuances. I'm like, what did I miss?
How do I get this wrong?
Yeah. How am I now 2.5 inches here versus
half an inch over there?
Yeah. I don't get that. I'm not
skilled enough to know the all the nuance there. I know that it is not, and like knock on presswood, I guess it is. We lucked out with a lot of the stuff with the shed where it's like even doing the forms, and I was terrified. I've never done concrete forming before. Not only have I not done concrete forming, I used recycled lumber from the old platform from the old shed
for your
And the forms, by the time we went to square them up and I put the tape corner to corner, it was only out 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
Which
you were happy.
I am.
Yeah.
And I mean, even putting the shed up, you weren't there when we put the sheeting on. Put the sheeting on the roof, and on one end, on the front and the back, the overhang, it's perfect. It is perfect. It's like 1/4 inch or half an inch the whole way down. You go up the sides and you're like, how in the hell is that crooked?
Right. I don't know.
Like the walls are out? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is pretty cheap, like OSB, thin OSB walls and stuff. So God only knows.
One more shout out, because I feel like we're wrapping up here.
Yeah, sure.
Vile Groove just released their physical CD.
Let's see that.
You probably can find that too. So you can go to Bandcamp and you can buy that, or you can probably give a shout out to Docking Bay 95.
I don't know if that's.
You've got a few copies left. If you give Hank a DM on Docking Bay 95 Toys and Collectibles, is that right?
Docking Bay 95 Collectibles, yeah.
Collectibles. He will certainly ship you a copy of an old school CD with some cool beats.
Oh my Lord, you think I could find this?
Might even throw a sticker in if he's got any left.
See if I can find them here on
it was in your Facebook feed.
I missed it. The loudest keyboard in NATO right here. There we go.
Maybe you should just hit play. And that can be our fade out.
Do we have it? Yeah, let's do it.
Of course.
Here, let's do
that. So enjoy this. We'll let it play for a couple minutes. And this is Hank. Isn't that terrible? What's his last name?
Yeah.
I want to say McGuire, but it's not McGuire. McLaughlin. Thanks, bud. Halifax, Canada, and living the dream and spitting rhymes. Enjoy it. I'm Scott.
And I'm Wes.
Cheers, guys.
All right, catch you next time.
All in the twist, time in the line, soul in the wrist. Put up man boobs, thyroid leaking, ballpoint sketch like a fanboy peeking. Open in the middle, closed at both ends. I'm a villain to my family, I'm a hero to my friends. Grasp at the last straw, sin into his skin, juxtapose foes who just.
Hey, thanks for hanging with us at the Barbershop. You can find us on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Please like and share us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter to stay up to date on all of our shenanigans. Hangin' at the Barbershop is a Sawcast production.